Thanks, comrades. I will call upon the ANC Youth League Greater Johannesburg Chairperson, Comrade Mogobe, to do the official welcoming.
Mandla awethu matla arona matemba ayena manda ashu krag onse Good evening, comrades. My name is Mogobe, Provincial Treasurer, the Regional Convener of Greater Johannesburg. Mine is simple, comrades. It is to officially welcome all of you, comrades, in this special event, the State of the Province, the State of the Youth Address, as delivered by the Provincial Chair of the Youth League. But before we do that, we'd just to raise one or two things that we would expect that the Provincial Chair would cover as he speaks on our behalf. We've got challenges, Chair. The issue of scholar transport remains the major crisis in Gauteng, while we see celebrities in clubs or in a manner of public representatives with slave queens. We hope that we'll touch base on that. Number two, the issue of infrastructure in our secondary schools, the issue that has been recently raised by the leadership of the Youth League in Ekurhuleni, the importance of building of a university in the Ekurhuleni region. It is of paramount importance. The major crisis that we have as young people, or that we are confronted with in a province that is dominated by young people, the issue of unemployment. The struggle of us Hispanic needs to be no longer to be rhetoric or something that we discuss in corridors. There must be action that we take. As you are about to address us, those are the things we expect to speak harshly on them and give us a way forward and a plan of action on how, beyond the State of the Province address, which is scheduled for Monday, what is our action as young people, and how are we going to confront the government, the private sector, and all other entities that should be enabling us to receive skills, receive employment as young people. So we expect you to be very harsh as you come to that, Chair. We're here to receive marching orders, and we're ready to execute as we're instructed by the Provincial Executive Committee. Mandla, awethu, matla. Thanks, Provincial Chair.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I would also like to acknowledge the TG of SASCO, Comrade Samkele Sigam, and also I saw the ANC, NEC member, Comrade Lubuyo Bali. Comrades, if we didn't acknowledge you, we didn't see you, comrades, apologies. Can we also make space, comrades, space here for other comrades, especially those ones who are standing at the back, comrades. There's chairs in front. You can come and sit aside. Comrade, may we all stand up and welcome the Gauteng Provincial Chairperson, Comrade Ntsako. Let's all welcome, comrades, the Chairperson of the province, comrades.
Amandla awethu Amandla awethu matla kya rona matla kya rona ewathi noma konzima noma komhlo isoja yabekeze noma konzima noma komhlo isoja yabekeze 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 noma konzima noma komhlo isoja yabekeze isoja yabekeze noma konzima noma komhlo isoja yabekeze noma konzima noma komhlo isoja yabekeze isoja yabekeze isoja yabekeze Amandla, awethu, matla, ke rona. Long live the African National Congress Youth League, long live. Long live the PYA, long live. Long live COSAS, long live. Long live YCL, long live. Long live SASCO, long live. Long live SASCO, long live. Long live Anton Limbede, long live. Long live Anton Limbede, long live. Thank you very much, comrades. Frontline soldiers of economic freedom and social change now and not later. Comrades, we're about to commence with the demands of the youth in this province. We have called you here, comrades, in these corridors of power. This is where those we've elected enjoy themselves and make policies on our behalf. Today we've invaded the Gauteng legislature. This is a corridor of power. And that's why you look so beautiful, you are wearing suits, because in the corridors of power, we do things with prestige and dignity. When we discuss the future of young people, we start to show by ourselves that we are serious and ready to take over. This office is here. This is where the leaders who have elected take wrong decisions on behalf of young people. So we thought we must come to their doorstep before they promise us lies on Monday, so that we give them a contract between ourselves as young people of this province and them in the executive, that outside what we are going to speak to today, any non-pronouncements or commitment to our demands will be a declaration of war with the youth of this province. Comrades, because today we are acting as the youth premier, Comrade Doni today here is appointed as the MEC of Community Safety. And of course, Comrade Masabata here is the MEC of Social Development. Of course, the PT is the MEC of Finance and Economic Development. Comrade Zianda, of course, is heading Education, Sports and Arts and Culture. We're just doing this small exercise, comrades, to just say to the Premier, it is not difficult to just change cabinet. We've demonstrated that it's possible to pronounce on a cabinet. Comrades, fellow youth of Gauteng, distinguished guests and members of the African National Congress Youth League, we gather here today in the heart of our vibrant province, in the corridors of power, the Gauteng legislature. We stand on the shoulders of history So it is important to mark profound anniversaries that remind us of the unbreakable spirit of our young people. Comrades, before we go any further, allow me to pay tribute to former leaders of the Congress Youth League, who of course have left us. Last year at this time in Soweto, we were with Comrade Toli Tembelihle Ngwenya in the State of the Gauteng Youth Address. Today, we are not with her, so it is important to pay homage to her. Of importance, we must also pay homage to the former convener of the Congress Youth League in Johannesburg, Comrade Tembeni Manana. We're doing so, comrades, because these comrades shared a birthday month, of course, which is this month of February, the month of love, Nyaza abanye 14. Kube nenkinga, but ngizoyi-address le nto yama-rose after this arrangement. Comrades, these comrades, through young women of this organization in this province, they continue to live amongst us. It is important, comrades, to also pay homage and bow our heads in memory of our fallen comrades, Andile Mgwevu, who we served with in the PCPC of the Youth League as a result of the recent floods left us. But also important, comrades, to pay homage to Comrade Lethabo Nkwana, who passed on fighting for the revival of the Congress Youth League in the city of Tshwane. This year, comrades, we commemorate the 30th anniversary of our democratic constitution. Of course, a constitution that is said to be a beacon of hope, forged in the fires of struggle, enshrining the rights and freedoms that generations fought for. This constitution ensures that South Africans, in their majority, are not left behind in the pursuit of their dignity and equality. Comrades, this year we also honor the 50th anniversary of June 16, 1976 uprising in Soweto, where fearless young students rose against the apartheid regime oppressive Bantu education system, igniting a flame of resistance that spread across the nation and hastened the end of white minority rule. Their courage at such a tender age, and of course, their courage demonstrated that the youth are not just a mere bystanders, but the vanguard of change, and the youth are those people who are willing to sacrifice for a just future. Comrade Doni, you are the MEC of safety, so you know what to do with those who are making noise. Comrades, this year we must not forget the 70th anniversary of the commencement of the treason trial in 1956, a pivotal moment where about 156 freedom fighters, including former leaders of the ANC Youth League, leaders like Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Oliver Tambo, stood trial for daring to envision a free South Africa. Though the accused spent generations, they were all young from the Congress Youth League, many of those charged were in their prime of being the youth. Comrades like Mandela, Tambo, and Kathrada were in their early 20s and 30s. They had a youthful energy fused with wisdom to challenge the tyranny. Their ages then, often in the 20s and 30s, show only young people are capable of change in society. Comrades, we must mark this important point. It is only young people in this particular country who have always been capable of change in this society. The people who kept the fires burning during the apartheid regime, the people who kept the fires burning during the state of emergency in the 1980s were young people. Therefore, that's why we are here today, to say young people of Gauteng must then be able to claim their rightful space in society and not be dictated by old people who don't know what we are doing. Comrades, this state of the Gauteng Youth Address is not a mere reflection, but a call to action. Gauteng is the economic engine of South Africa. Our young people face a barrage of challenges that threaten to dim the promise of democracy. The provincial government must prioritize radical economic transformation, investing in youth-led cooperatives, tech hubs, and vocational training centers tailored to Gauteng industries like finance, manufacturing, and innovation. Comrades, we would like to recognize and honor the following young people that have joined us today from different sectors who are demonstrating through action and participation that the true change can only be brought by the youth. Like I've said before, any true change in society can only be brought by young people. Old people have got old ideas and they have no energy or interest to change anything. Comrades, allow me to honor Ms. Nonka Mbonambi, who's here with us here today. You can stand up, Menonka. Just say hi. Ms. Nonka Mbonambi is a multidisciplinary artist and a curator from the arts and creative sector who has won 2 international awards for excellent work in public art through development and empowerment of young people and women across the country. And she is also currently nominated for the Women Changing the World Awards for 2026, happening in March here in Gauteng. These are young people who live amongst ourselves that as the leadership of the Congress Youth League, we must then be able to cherish and of course honor. But it is important to note that Comrade Ms. Nonka Mbonambi is a progressive. Yes. Comrades, allow me to honor Kahiso Capers. A member of the Congress Youth League in Gauteng, and of course one of those who have appointed in the Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel. So in the advisory panel, we did not just bring anyone. It's not a jumble sale of girlfriends and boyfriends. Comrade Kahiso, he's a seasoned film, television, and theater actor who was recently nominated at the 19th Annual South African Film and Television Awards for his role in the telenova Catch Me a Killer. Barisha bang di telenova Catch Me a Killer. Rena loko panaleka hisora. Comrades, allow me, amongst others, to honor Nungelo Chume, a son to the iconic and legendary actress Mekhoni Chume, a renowned arts administrator, and of course his mother Mekhoni supported initiatives and events of the Congress Youth League. Those who were there in Senten, you would know that she was part of our fundraising gala dinner and continued to give us wisdom and support. As we honor you, Comrade Dungelo, in honor of Comrade Mekhoni Chumo, we demand, Comrade Premier, a newly built government theatre named after Mekhoni Chumo. Comrades, we also want to acknowledge Skodipola Secondary School, which is one of the only schools here in Johannesburg built by the Gauteng government with hospitality as part of their curriculum. This goes on to prove, comrades, that we were not mad in our last Soya when we spoke about hospitality being offered as a subject in our schools. This goes to show when we speak, we are able to inject change in the lives of young people in the province. Comrades, last year around this time, we gathered in almost similar but different fashion. Today we can see we just brought a touch of suits and sneakers. Last year we delivered our first Gauteng State of the Youth of Gauteng address. Comrades, we are proud that we are the first and only province with the State of the Gauteng Youth Address. We are also proud that we are the only generation that has done this, never seen before. The 15th Provincial Executive Committee continues to make history. In our last address, comrades, we called for the appointment of the Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel. With us here today, we are sitting with the chairperson of the Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel, Mayor Comrade Tuto Mashile, and of course other members of the board, the chairperson, Comrade Tuto. These are the achievements of the last year's State of the Gauteng Youth Address. Of course, this panel, comrades, must be supported, and it must be given budget. We have called for a 1 billion budget to be allocated to this panel, but also to make a serious call that administrators who got in through CVs in the Premier's office not to attempt and make this panel a youth desk. These are advisors of the Premier on youth issues in this particular province, and of course have been allocated space in MEC's offices. Therefore, we call on any HOD who dares to undermine the Gauteng Youth Advisory Panel will meet the wrath of the Congress Youth League, and they must ask HODs that were fired last year what happened to them when the Youth League spoke. Comrades, last year we equally made a pronouncement on the fight against the scourge of drugs facing young people in the main in our province, which traps them in the cycle of violence, addiction, and hopelessness. Today, in this State of the Gauteng Youth Address, we report to you that the Premier has led and announced the Etswada program as a response to the clarion call and demand of the Gauteng ANC Youth League made in the last soil. So this is progress that we are registering. We are not gathering here just to speak mere rhetoric. It's what these are ideas of the Congress Youth League, and of course have found space and resonance in Gauteng government. Comrades, allow me to also announce that as part of ensuring that these young people who have been taken to rehab by the Etswa program, this year the 15th Provincial Executive Committee in Gauteng will be leading a multi-sector rehabilitation, skills and economic development program for recovering drug addicts. This is important, comrades, unless if there are people who are doing drugs here. After we rehabilitate these young people, we have a proper program to integrate them back into our own communities. Comrades, this program will be done in collaboration with Greenox company. This will be the pathway and intervention to deal with this reality that we are faced with of abusing alcohol and drugs. No more shall it be that young people after rehab cannot be reintegrated into our own society and in the economy. And here we are not calling on the government as if we lack ideas and initiatives. We are doing it ourselves. The Congress Youth League will be leading at the forefront with this particular initiative, with or without government. Because this is important, comrades. Young people in this particular province. Comrades, in our last SOYA, we also made a clarion call for what it is today known as Amapanyaza to be formalized. There were those who tried to make jokes about us when we stand on the front line defending young people who got jobs through this particular program. Amapanyaza will be formalized and be given decent wages. This was recently announced by the Premier in collaboration with the national government. They were pronounced officially as peace officers under the Criminal Procedure Act 52 of 1977 and Section 3334 as an authorized detachment to deal with the crime and traffic-related challenges in the province. So this goes to show, comrades, that we are not hosting the State of the Gauteng Youth Address for ceremonial purposes, but rather to lead the charge of transformation that benefits primarily the youth of our province. Comrades, we're dealing with an emerging education crisis here in Gauteng. But let's start by making it clear that we demand the University of Science and Technology in Ekurhuleni with immediate effect. The national government, through the President in the State of the Nation address, pronounced a University of Science and Technology in Ekurhuleni. Until this day, this pronouncement is a mere rhetoric and a pipe dream. The Youth League in Gauteng has taken a decision that we will bring this idea to life ourselves. In fact, we are the ones that this idea has been waiting for. Comrades, I want to take this opportunity to invite all of you to join myself and the Provincial Executive Committee next week in the allocated land for this university for our soil taining and building of the first walls and laying of the first bricks for this university. Government itarufumana kope. Re apara di overall re ilo aga kwa. Roaha University, Rovea di tena tse 15, and government etatswella pele ka allocate a budget. But we want to show government how serious we are about this university. Because if we don't start, I don't think government will follow. We must be the first members of the Congress Youth League in Gauteng to start putting bricks in this historic university. Our agenda is simple, comrades. The building of a new university is an expectation, of course, of doing what we call business unusual and building what we call, or making sure that the environment, we create an environment for young people to have access to their own success. Comrades, as of early 2026, the Gauteng Department of Education Public Scholar Transport Program transports approximately 238,000 learners daily using around 3,000 buses operated by about 250 contracted service providers. This figure reflects, comrades, a high demand driven by learners residing more than 5 kilometers from their nearest school, with services surpassing initial targets in prior years. However, comrades, the program has been plagued by disruptions, including a major strike in February 2026 over unpaid invoices from late 2025, which halted services of over 200,000 learners. Of course, some report that majority of learners were forced to walk long distances, missed classes, or relied on unsafe alternatives, and leading to low school attendance in affected areas. Meaningly, for a period of 2 weeks, learning and teaching has been disrupted in our schools because Gauteng Provincial Government of Education was incompetent. Comrades, we continue to call for the payment of scholar transport service providers with immediate effect. The Youth League in Gauteng will not allow and compromise young people in the basic education sector as a result of gross incompetence. We are calling on the MEC to take action immediately. We reiterate our call that heads must roll and incompetence must be negated. Hore ka sebe hore no aba patela go fedile a re bone officially le one e one, comrades. Because these officials must account. It will be us doing door to door, calling on young people or convincing our people to vote for the ANC. They will therefore refer us back to this matter of scholar transport. And there's no consequence management. How's no consequence management to these officials? Premier Panyaza Lesotho, you must do the right thing. You must do consequence management in your own executive. Comrades, the quality of transportation should also be a priority for our provincial government, especially the education government. We also send our condolences, comrades, and bow our heads in remembrance of the Val 14 that passed earlier this year as a result of gross negligence by a drunkard. We are saying that, sorry or not, this driver must take responsibility and face the consequences. This goes on to show that the government must regulate all scholar transport providers, whether appointed by government or not, so that we are able to take an account for people who are taking our children to school. Comrades, we are also still observing and closely monitoring developments in the GCRA. Now that it has been moved to the office of the Premier, we are watching with close eyes as to whether our demands will still be met. We still have students who are complaining about this particular institution that has tended to become a white elephant. Comrades, in the Gauteng Department of Education, allegations of corruption, irregularities in procurement processes such as flawed bid evaluations and failure to extend bid validity periods, and inflated supplier lists further compound these problems, leading to irregular expenditure amounting to about 739 million in 2024 and 1.2 billion in wasteful expenditure in 2025. Or 1 billion ko Department of Education ile kae ba netse re ke ditsotsi etse re ke dichomi le di slay queen. Because we can't account for this money. Using this money alone, comrades, we can employ about 200,000 young people with a more than 10,000 monthly salary and immediately reduce unemployment in Gauteng by 2.5 percentage points. Ka tšhelete fela e timetseng ko education. And these are the realities we live in. Comrades, this department is also alleged to have more than 100 officials doing business in the state. 100 officials doing business with the state. This report was released, of course, earlier last year in 2025. Even today, we have not seen consequent management. We demand immediate consequent management by the government. We don't want to see reports again on the same matter. We want arrests, prosecutions, and dismissals. Comrades, we all know, all of us here, Arna Nyoko, as a invoice, as a procure, and of course as a span. Bacha ababereki, comrades. So our views on youth development and empowerment and jobs for youth. Comrade Nkobo, we continue with our rallying call that for as long as we don't have a 0.009% of youth unemployment in this particular province, we must continue with the call Asispan. Comrades, the truth is we don't have jobs. Our streets echo with the cry of millions of us trapped in despair, watching dreams rot while the elite feast on tenders and corruption. In this province, the heartbeat of South Africa, youth unemployment still bends at over 45%, with millions of us active fighters searching endlessly and thousands more who have given up in heartbreak, reduced to ghosts in our own province. Comrade Premier, those who claim to lead us, who are sitting currently in luxury offices, promising Nasispan and panels, yet the money vanishes into pockets that already smell of greed, leaving our youth hungry, hopeless, and humiliated. Enough of these empty rhetorics and broken promises. Comrades, why enough of walking long distances to nowhere? Why enough of skills rotting unused while tenders go to cronies, boyfriends, and girlfriends? Comrades, last year we marched, Premier, to your door in July with thousands of strong young people demanding 1 billion for real youth enterprise, 30% procurement of our businesses, and permanent jobs, not crumbs of internships. We want to say to you this year, Premier, we no longer want 30%, we demand 50% of everything else that will benefit the youth in this province. Comrade Premier, Asispan, we have no more patience. If you won't act, we will shake this province until every corrupt official is removed. Every opportunity is seized by the youth, and our generation must reclaim what is rightfully theirs. The fire of the 1976 generation must live in us, because, comrades, we want jobs now, or the streets will speak louder. If we do not get a clear plan on Monday and response from the SOPA on this question, comrades, we will give you permission to render this province ungovernable. It cannot be that we live in the province where municipalities do not have youth policies and youth directorates. It is already embarrassing that no municipality in the West Rand or Cde, Comrade Lucky, have a clearly, with proper clarity of thought, have a youth policy. It is further concerning that the youth policy of Tshwane has expired since 2017 after the ANC has lost power. And ever since, in the city of Tshwane, we have never reviewed this youth policy. The youth policy, Comrade Banele, in Johannesburg has expired and needs to be reviewed. And of course, comrades, all these youth directorates that we say must be established in these municipalities must be allocated a 1 billion budget so that we are able to advance youth interests. Because youth directorates can be reduced to patronage and an attempt to silence the Congress Youth League in our own regions. So we have youth directorates that only pay salaries and of course can inject meaningful contributions to the lives of young people. Comrades, this is a clear indication that our municipalities do not take youth development seriously. And of course, we can't keep quiet all of us on the ground when this is happening. Banele and Lucas and collective, young people in Jozi must take you to task, because you are the voice of the youth, and of course you can't keep quiet when the youth are exploited. We are not interested in your salaries, we are interested in the interventions that you will make to these young people. So comrades, we demand that all these municipalities this year must have youth policies. Premier, the Department of Culture in the province must make sure that this is possible. Of course, we must do this in line with the National Youth Policy and the Gauteng Integrated Youth Strategy. Hey, ya di officing tsa Youth Directorate ba nna re sa tsebe re ro irang. Mokete wa dikatso wa o fele ba. Comrades, in the previous year, Gauteng government alone spent about 200 million on lawsuits for damages caused by potholes. 200 million damages caused by potholes. If this money was spent on youth employment, we were going to create 20,000 permanent jobs of young people with a annual salary of more than 100,000 to ensure that we don't have potholes in all our cities. So the state must build internal capacity and employ more than 20,000 young people so that we are able to deal with these issues of potholes. Therefore, we demand the immediate permanent employment of young people to fix our roads. This is also part of building a developmental state as per the vision of our country and province. And this will reduce youth unemployment to at least by 0.5 percentage point in this particular province. We also said the Department of Education in Gauteng is about 1.2 billion, and this is the point we made earlier. When you speak about this 1.2 billion and 739 million, that of course was found to be irregular expenditure, at least Department of Education alone could have created more than 200,000 jobs immediately. Comrades, last year we called for a collaboration between the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and of course the Department of Education. So the MEC of Sports, Arts and Culture must tell the MEC of Education in Gauteng that it is important to employ sports coaches, arts facilitators, and of course, facilitators will preserve our culture in our own schools. This will create, out of the 5,600 schools that we have in Gauteng, this will create more than 40,000 permanent jobs immediately. So that we have teachers who focus on the classroom. Risabali minyere ba rutumile ka ho coacha bana ko bolong. When Minyer needs to be in the classroom, Minyer will go ground o train sabana soccer or cricket. Akere bo nko sinati ba tseni dikolo tsa makgowa na ba swima lu swima ko sekolong. So it is important to have focal points in all our schools, and these jobs must be given to young people so that we are able to create more jobs. So this is part of our ideas in helping Gauteng government to create jobs, and of course the NASISPAN interventions that we are being told of. We are bringing ideas, we are not only just complaining. Comrades, in the arts and culture, the Youth League of Gauteng calls for the immediate reinstallation of the Gauteng Arts Council and the appointment of new boards that will be given to young people. Of course, we can't have or continue to have a situation where our actors, musicians, creatives live in poverty without opportunities while there is a council that can address these particular issues. Comrades, we demand that creative boards be given to young people to occupy, of course, amongst others, the chairperson's positions in these boards so that we're able to drive transformation and reposition our arts and culture industry. We also want the Gauteng Economic Development Department to account on the budget and opportunities created for the arts. So this Economic Development Department is unable to account of the opportunities it has created in this process of the creative arts. We humbly request or hereby call on the Premier to speak to President Cyril Ramaphosa to sign the performance bill that speaks to the protection of workers in the creative industry. Our young people are being exploited. Re lapile ka o utlwa ditori tsa gore too short o itse bjao. How well regulation it's our how young people in their creative spaces will get their royalties, and of course actors will then be able to get their royalties. And it is only the Youth League in Gauteng that can wage that particular battle. We do so, comrades, because we are the hub of the creative industries in the country. That's why the Youth League in Gauteng must lead the charge, of course, of ensuring that the creatives are well protected in their own industry. It is also important, comrades, to elevate and be proud of Amapiano, because it was created here in Gauteng, and of course, it is making waves in the world. Comrades, on housing and the youth on the land question, because we have declared this year as the National Executive Committee, Comrade Barnes, the Year of the Youth. We want to declare that young people, they are innovators in this province and are not orphans to development. We are rejecting the paternalistic handouts that have kept our generation dependent and disempowered for far too long. We are not begging for scraps or waiting for charity from a government that builds shoddy RDP houses, those low-quality, poorly constructed matchboxes that crack within years and trap families in poverty. We demand real ownership and control as the youth of this province. The Gauteng provincial government must, with immediate effect, issue land parcels directly to young people so we can build our own homes, design them to our needs, use our skills and creativity, and create sustainable communities that reflect our vision of the future. Because where we stay in our own houses and in our own homes, it must be a reflection of where we want to go in the future. Make no mistake, comrades, the ANC government has the best and most successful government housing scheme in the world. However, comrades, tenders have destroyed the great initiative, and as young people, we must reclaim that particular space. Comrades, this is not just about shelter. It is about dignity, it is about self-determination, and breaking the cycle of reliance on corrupt tenders and substandard construction that has engulfed our province. Of course, this cartel, comrades, has benefited the connected elites while our youth remain homeless or crammed into decaying townships. We are the builders, the architects, the innovators. Give us the land and watch us rise to construct a Gauteng where young people own their destiny, not wait for donations that insult our potential. Comrades, while we're dealing with these contractors, We've seen projects being given throughout Gauteng. And of course, these contractors have failed to finish some of the projects, whether it's in schools or building houses. We're also calling comrades on government to make land available to build student accommodation instead of donating the process to the private sector and quasi-autonomous independent universities. So student accommodation in this province must be taken serious. We can't be subjected to mastene. Every month, students must be subjected to, we are evicting you because you did not pay. Hijacked government buildings must then be able to be turned into student accommodation. Because these buildings, comrades, have now turned into brothels. Yes. And non-nationals are now taking our young people and of course exploiting them to sell their body. And these are struggles that we must start to act on. Some of these buildings, you know them, Kunam. When you were still in courses, you were going to them. So we're going to task you to lead the charge of closing all these buildings and of course making sure that the municipality turns them into student accommodation. Comrade Kenneth knows this matter very well. Comrades, on mining and agriculture, Gauteng, in the belly of Gauteng earth lies the wealth extracted by mining giants. Yet our youth remain shackled in poverty, while corporations get profits and evade through transformation. Comrade Lucky, in the West End there, Banabako Wedela, Kahiso, Kokosi, they are not getting benefits of these social labor plans from these mining industries. The same here in Johannesburg, and of course, all communities that have got mining. Comrades, under the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act of 2002, this is the weapon we must use to prioritize youth development and empowerment, demanding skills, training, bursaries, and direct employment for young lions in mining operations as enshrined in Section 2F and I, which call for advancing social and economic welfare for all South Africans, including historically disadvantaged South Africans. So all communities that have got mines, we need to monitor as to whether these mining gurus implement the social labor plan or implement the Petroleum Resources Development Act. We can't be a youth league in those communities that does not lead economic freedom marches to these mines and of course demand what belongs to us. Comrades, the broad-based socio-economic empowerment charter for the mining industry and the mining charter further compel these plans to foster community upliftment through youth-focused initiatives, yet we see corruption and half measures living in our townships barren. No more, comrades, we demand radical enforcement and allocation of 30% of SLP budgets to youth cooperatives in Gauteng, gold and platinum fields, turning exploitation into liberation or face the wrath of a mobilized youth ready to seize the mines and reclaim our destiny. So, comrades, we're sitting in our corners, our minds are reclaimed by Zamazamas. Moeleng hore re ka sehelana is the youth of this province to ensure that we make sure that we uplift the social standing of young people in this province. Comrades, the fertile soils of Gauteng cry out. Comrade Donukar, you are sleeping on duty. We can reshuffle immediately. It's the government of Provincial Youth Unity. We can reshuffle immediately because we don't understand what's happening. Yeah, Madonsela is ready. You can home up, Madonsela. Suksikele. Comrades, the fertile soils of Gauteng cry out for the hands of our youth to revolutionize agriculture, smashing unemployment and igniting economic firestorms that will topple inequality. As South Africa's urban powerhouse, Gauteng's young people must lead in urban farming, hydroponics, and agro-processing, creating thousands of jobs in value chains that feed our nation, and export globally, slashing youth joblessness from its crippling 45% by harnessing agriculture potential to absorb millions into sustainable livelihoods. Masithi uzoyithola kanjani uhlele khoneni? These interventions that we're speaking to now, we're calling all of you, comrades, to go to your own branches and ensure that we take part in these interventions that we're suggesting here. Comrades, this is not a charity, it's a revolution. Youth-driven farms in Soweto and Alexandra must boost the GDP through food security, reduce rural-urban migration, and dismantle poverty cycles, as evidenced by sectors like horticulture employing youth intensively and driving rural revitalization. Corrupt tenders and lead hoarding block our path. So it means, comrades, everywhere we see the smell of corruption, we must be able to make those people run. Comrades, we must rise up and demand the government to seize unused land for youth cooperatives. We must fund tech-infused agri-enterprises and enforce 50% youth quotas in agricultural programs. Or, comrades, we will plow through the barriers ourselves, harvesting a new economy where no young souls starve for opportunity. Comrades, in our previous SOYA, we spoke about regulating the hospitality sector. The Youth League stated firmly and believed that there must be an urgent regulation of the food and beverage industry, which has become notorious of being at the center of human rights violations. This industry contributes little to the fight against unemployment, youth unemployment, as it overwhelmingly employs foreign nationals while sidelining local youth in desperate need of opportunities. This is equally extended to the transport, e-hailing sector. We continue to make our call for the immediate enforcement of a minimum wage policy, as many waiters are severely underpaid and forced to rely on tips to make ends meet. Some of them, they don't get salaries. Arriba tipping, comrades. And a reserva tipper, and we expect other things from them. Comrades, it is unacceptable and exploitive practice. Furthermore, we demand a thorough probe into the disturbing trend of bottle girls, Comrade Dom. You and Vuisile, we need to look at this matter of bottle girls. Bottle girls, comrades, are often objectified and used as sexual commodities by club owners. and they use them to generate profit. And of course, while being grossly underpaid and denied basic labor rights. So they are underpaid, they are denied basic labor rights. You are correct. If you are a member of the Youth League and you own a pub, let us not exploit bottle girls. Please, comrades. Arba pateleng. Because the bill is bo matume ba di tlisang every day. Make us to be able to afford these young people who bring business to our establishment. Municipalities must also take responsibility by regulating lease arrangements and agreements in their respective areas, ensuring fair and ethical business practices that prioritize the rights and well-being of workers. It is time to restore the dignity and justice in this particular industry. Are grooving responsibly because we are young people, but we can't go to groove as leaders of the youth to go and exploit young people. That can't be. Comrades, of course, we demand free data in all recreational facilities in Gauteng. Because in all these recreational facilities, we're not only speaking about parks, comrades. When we speak about recreational facilities, le di library di gona ona mo. But in these places, there must be free data so that as we are applying to jobs, as we read books that we have downloaded, and of course respond to messages the 14th of February, we are also empowered as the youth of the province to then be able to search for information and be informed. Data, it is too expensive, comrades. It must be regulated. In fact, government must subsidize us to get free data in this particular province. Akere le president wa ibu antwe oro ka se jole monate o sna data because you can't respond to WhatsApps. O tlare o responda to a WhatsApp ka midnight o tshwanele lwando majeza. O akile lore montare ba fetile. So this struggle is serious. Majeza will explain it properly. That you can't have a midnight express of data. You must have data every day, every minute, and every hour. Because Majeza's relationship now is compromised because he can only respond at midnight. And now, momentarily, Lucas is busy in charge here and calling the shots. So, on your data, comrades, comrades, we commended the Premier last year for firing HODs and releasing lifestyle audits. He made a commitment to deal with rogue elements, corruption, and incompetence. It was also pleasing to realize that the Premier fired all corrupt and underperforming HODs in Gauteng. But however, to our dismay, the redeployment of those incompetent and underperforming HODs, they've been redeployed to be his advisors in the private office. For us, this is a betrayal of our call. This is a betrayal of the same mission he was on. Because when we said corrupt HODs must be fired and who failed lifestyle audits, we meant that they must go and sit at home. Now, why are they appointed as advisors in the office of the Premier? Are they appointed to advise the Premier of greed and corruption? And these are the questions we must ask the Premier. What are you doing with these HODs that are corrupt and, of course, sabotaging service delivery? Comrades, we must not place them anywhere. We must get rid of all of them. Officials in government are the most corrupt people you'll ever see. Officials in government, they are officials by day and business people at night. Officials are hell-bent at stopping any progressive program the National Democratic Revolution wants to inject into our government. Even on our journey here, officials of the Speaker's office made an attempt to stop us from having our soya here. We call on the Speaker to fire all these officials. When we come back on Tuesday, officials of the Speaker who did not want the Youth League to be in the legislature must be fired. Comrades, if you qualify, come, let's occupy their offices from Tuesday. Because we did not elect these officials. We did not elect these officials. We have employed them, thinking that they've went to school, and of course, they will allow the corridors of power to be used by the people. So, comrades, these remain amongst many other challenges that are faced by young people in this province. Our demands for the Premier to pronounce on Monday, Kasop. This is, comrades, our contract with the Premier. Failure to pronounce on this, it's declaring the year of the youth null and void. Therefore, you are declaring war with the youth of this province. Comrades, we must thank you so much for taking your time to come here. Some of you had to go and take loans like Juju here to be able to respect the theme. And then by ensuring that we come to the corridors of power wearing suits, it is a demonstration of being serious that the youth is ready to govern. Comrades, we must also thank the Progressive Youth Alliance, COSATU Young Workers, the Young Communist League, COSAS, and SASCO, who continue to ensure that we continue to be united in terms of purpose in this particular province and continue to raise a vibrant, united youth voice. Comrades, those in the ANC love to say, asna mona, asna nzondo. Siyayidumisa i-ANC. Kodwa thina as the youth who are saying, asi-invoice, asna mali, asispani. Amandla, awethu, matla, yarona, ayesaba magwala. Aw iyo, ayesaba magwala. Oh, iyo, esipamento encane makerela esipamento encane makhomanda omamandi yekele iyo omamandi yekele iyo ngejoyine yosileke eHauteng nyolwela abafundi eHauteng siyarayipha lezinjalo iyo siyarayipha lezinjalo iyo amandla kwavevu Mandela nami ndaveva kwavevu
DJ there. Take a DJ there.
Hare
Comrades, has got some important announcements. The PG has got some important announcements. Let's allow the